Marina had always loved her job as a waitress at the elegant La Bella Luna, a high-end restaurant in the heart of the city. Unlike many who saw waitressing as just a means to an end, she considered it an art. Every detail mattered to her: the way the napkins were folded, the warm glow of the chandeliers, and the fresh scent of lavender that greeted guests as they walked in. She memorized the favorite dishes of regular customers, always greeting them with a genuine smile. To Marina, making people feel valued wasn't just part of the job, it was who she was. Her kindness and patience made her a favorite among guests, but not everyone in the restaurant appreciated her approach. Her manager, Artyom, was the complete opposite. He valued speed over service, numbers over experiences. In his eyes, Marina was too slow, spending too much time engaging with customers instead of flipping tables for new guests. His irritation grew daily, though Marina tried her best to balance both efficiency and quality service. One chilly evening, an elderly man entered the restaurant. His clothes, though neat, showed signs of wear, and he walked with a slight hesitation. He chose a table near the window, his tired eyes scanning the menu with uncertainty. Marina noticed his confusion and approached him with her usual warmth. "Good evening, sir. May I help you with the menu?" she asked gently. The old man looked up, slightly embarrassed. "I'm not very familiar with these dishes," he admitted. "Could you recommend something simple yet flavorful?" Marina smiled. "Of course. Let me tell you about our best dishes." As she patiently explained the options, offering thoughtful suggestions, she had no idea that this act of kindness was about to change her life forever. As Marina guided the elderly man through the menu, she noticed how attentively he listened. He asked about the flavors, the ingredients, and even the history of some dishes. Unlike the usual hurried customers, he seemed to enjoy the conversation. "Would you prefer something light, or are you in the mood for a hearty meal?" she asked. The old man chuckled. "Something hearty sounds good. It's been a long day." Marina nodded. "Then I'd recommend our special roasted lamb with garlic butter mashed potatoes. It's one of our most comforting meals." The man smiled. "That sounds perfect, and perhaps a glass of red wine to go with it." Marina quickly fetched his order, ensuring everything was just right. She placed the meal in front of him with a warm smile. "Enjoy your meal, sir." Just as she was about to leave, a sharp voice cut through the restaurant's soft ambiance. "Marina." She turned to see Artyom, her manager, storming toward her, his face red with frustration. The entire restaurant fell silent as his voice grew louder. "What do you think you're doing? You've spent nearly 10 minutes on one customer while other tables are waiting," he snapped. Marina's stomach tightened. She had always been careful to balance service with efficiency, but Artyom never seemed satisfied. "I was just helping him with the menu," she said calmly. "He needed guidance." Artyom scoffed. "This is a high-end restaurant, not a charity. We don't waste time on people who can't decide what they want." The elderly man looked up, his expression unreadable. The tension in the room was thick, and Marina could feel all eyes on her. Artyom crossed his arms. "Enough. If you can't do your job properly, you're fired." A gasp rippled through the restaurant. Marina froze, her heart pounding. Had she really just lost her job over an act of kindness? But before she could even react, something completely unexpected happened. Silence filled the restaurant. Marina's breath caught in her throat. Fired? Just for helping a customer? Her hands trembled slightly, but she held her head high. The elderly man set down his fork and slowly wiped his mouth with a napkin. He stood up, his presence commanding, and took a step toward Artyom. "I beg your pardon," he said, his voice calm but firm. "Did you just fire this young woman for showing kindness to a customer?" Artyom turned to him with a dismissive smirk. "Sir, this is none of your concern. I run this place, and I won't tolerate inefficiency." The old man tilted his head slightly, studying Artyom as if deciding whether he was worth his time. Then, in a measured tone, he said something that sent a shockwave through the room. "You run this place?" He let out a soft chuckle. "That's interesting, because last time I checked, I was the one who owned it." A collective gasp spread through the restaurant. The staff exchanged nervous glances, and even some of the customers turned in shock. Marina's eyes widened. Artyom's smug expression vanished instantly. "What?" he stammered. The elderly man reached into his pocket and pulled out a sleek black wallet. He produced an ID card and placed it on the nearest table. The name on it matched the restaurant's official documents. "I am Victor Antonov, founder and owner of La Bella Luna," he stated, his voice carrying the weight of authority. "And I don't recall hiring a manager who thinks kindness is a waste of time." Artyom's face turned pale. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. Marina stood frozen, barely able to process what was happening. Just moments ago, she had thought her life was falling apart. But now, everything had taken an unbelievable turn. Victor turned to her, his eyes kind. "Marina, I owe you an apology for the way you were treated in my restaurant." Marina swallowed hard. Was this really happening? The tension in the restaurant was thick enough to cut with a knife. Artyom stood frozen, his face drained of color. The staff, who had always feared his outbursts, exchanged glances of both shock and satisfaction. Victor Antonov, the restaurant's true owner, let the silence linger for a moment before speaking again. "I built this restaurant with the belief that service is about more than just delivering food quickly. It's about hospitality, warmth, and respect for our guests." He turned his piercing gaze toward Artyom. "And you, apparently, have no understanding of that." "Sir, I didn't know." Artyom stammered, sweat forming on his brow. "I was just trying to keep the place running efficiently. I thought she was slowing things down." Victor raised an eyebrow. "You thought? Instead of observing, listening, and leading with wisdom, you chose to embarrass one of my best employees in front of everyone?" Artyom gulped. The murmurs in the restaurant grew louder. Marina still stood in stunned silence, her heart pounding in her chest. Victor sighed and shook his head. "There is no place in my business for someone who disrespects both employees and customers." His voice hardened. "You're fired, effective immediately." The restaurant erupted into whispers. Artyom's eyes widened in horror. "No, please, sir, give me another chance. I didn't know who you were." Victor's face remained unreadable. "And that's the problem. You shouldn't need to know who someone is to treat them with respect." Artyom opened his mouth to protest, but then shut it, realizing it was useless. He hung his head and, without another word, walked out of the restaurant. Victor turned back to Marina, his expression softening. "I meant what I said earlier. I owe you an apology." Marina blinked, barely able to comprehend what had just happened. "Sir, I was just doing what felt right." Victor smiled. "And that's exactly the kind of person I want leading my staff." Marina's breath hitched. "Leading?" Victor nodded. "As of now, you're no longer a waitress. You're the new restaurant manager." Gasps filled the room, followed by an eruption of applause. Marina covered her mouth, her eyes welling up with tears. She had gone from being fired to receiving the biggest promotion of her life, all within minutes. This night had turned into something she could never have imagined. Marina stood there, completely stunned. Just moments ago, she had thought her career was over. Now she was being offered the position of manager, a role she had never even dared to dream of. The entire restaurant was watching, waiting for her response. She felt a lump in her throat, her emotions swirling between shock, joy, and disbelief. "Me?" she finally whispered. "You want me to be the manager?" Victor Antonov chuckled. "You seem surprised." Marina let out a shaky laugh. I've never thought of myself in that position before." Victor gestured around the restaurant. "Look at your colleagues. Look at the customers. You've earned their respect because you care, not just about service, but about people. That's the kind of leadership this place needs." Marina glanced around. The waitstaff, bartenders, and even the kitchen staff were smiling at her, nodding in encouragement. Customers who had watched the entire scene unfold were clapping, some even cheering. She had never felt this kind of validation before. "But I've only ever been a waitress," she said hesitantly. "I don't have experience running a whole restaurant." Victor waved a hand dismissively. "Experience can be gained. Integrity, kindness, and dedication. Those are qualities you already have." Marina's heart swelled. It was true. She had always put her heart into her work. She knew the customers by name, remembered their favorite dishes, and made sure every little detail was perfect. She had treated this restaurant like it was her own, and now, in a way, it would be. She took a deep breath, then nodded firmly. "I accept." The restaurant erupted into applause again. A few of her coworkers rushed over to hug her, congratulating her on the promotion. Even some regular customers smiled at her warmly, as if they had always known she was meant for more. Victor placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. We'll discuss your transition into management tomorrow, but for tonight, enjoy this moment. You've earned it. Marina blinked away the tears threatening to fall. Just hours ago, she had been another waitress, working tirelessly to make others feel welcome. Now she was stepping into a new future, one she had never seen coming. The restaurant was still buzzing with excitement long after Artyom had left. Marina felt a whirlwind of emotions, joy, disbelief, and a little bit of nervousness. Was this really happening? Viktor Antonov smiled at her warmly. I can see you're overwhelmed. Take a deep breath, Marina. She did. The air felt lighter now. The tension that had gripped the restaurant earlier had vanished, replaced with an atmosphere of celebration. One of the waitresses, Sophia, stepped forward with a grin. I always knew you deserved more, Marina. No one here works harder than you. Marina blushed. I was just doing my job. Sophia shook her head. No, you were always doing more than just a job. You made this place feel special. Other staff members nodded in agreement. Even the chef, who was usually too busy to pay attention to the dining area, walked out of the kitchen and clapped Marina on the back. I'm glad it's you, Marina. You care about this restaurant in a way that some of us forget to. Victor chuckled. Looks like you already have the respect of your team. Marina exhaled deeply. She had spent years putting her heart into this place, learning the customers' preferences, paying attention to the smallest details, and making sure everyone felt welcomed. Now, she was being given the chance to lead it. A thought crossed her mind. But what about Artyom's responsibilities? I don't even know how to handle everything he did. Victor waved a hand dismissively. Artyom wasn't as competent as he pretended to be. The real work was done by the staff, people like you. I'll personally guide you through everything you need to know. Hearing that eased her nerves. If Victor himself was willing to mentor her, she wouldn't have to figure it all out alone. She turned to the staff, her new team. I don't know what kind of manager I'll be yet, she admitted, but I promise I'll always treat you with the same kindness and respect that I'd want for myself. The team erupted into applause once again. Marina felt her chest swell with pride. This wasn't just a promotion. It was a new beginning, and she was ready for it. The excitement of the night had finally settled, and Marina found herself alone in the restaurant after closing. The reality of her new role started sinking in. Tomorrow she would begin as the restaurant manager. She sat at one of the corner tables, sipping a cup of tea, when Victor approached. You did well today, he said, pulling out a chair across from her. Marina smiled. It still doesn't feel real. Victor chuckled. It will soon enough. But be prepared. Leadership isn't always easy. She nodded. She knew this wouldn't be simple. She had seen the challenges Artyom faced, even if he handled them poorly. Managing a restaurant meant dealing with difficult customers, solving staff conflicts, and ensuring smooth operations. As if on cue, the door suddenly burst open. A tall, middle-aged man in a suit stormed in, followed by a waitress, Anna, who looked worried. Mr. Antonov, the man barked. This is unacceptable. Victor remained calm. Mr. Belinsky, what seems to be the problem? Belinsky, one of the restaurant's wealthiest regulars, threw a napkin onto the table. I ordered a special dish for my event tomorrow, and I just received a call that it's been canceled. Marina's stomach twisted. A mistake on her first night as manager? Victor raised an eyebrow. That's odd. Let me check. He glanced at Marina. Would you like to handle this? She hesitated, but then nodded. This was her first real challenge. She turned to Anna. Who was responsible for the order? Anna bit her lip. It was Artyom. He never confirmed the supplier. Marina clenched her fists. Of course, Artyom had been too busy yelling at staff to actually do his job. She faced Belinsky. Sir, I sincerely apologize for the mistake. I understand how important your event is. Belinsky scoffed. Apologies won't fix it. I expect professionalism from this place. Marina took a deep breath. I agree, and I promise we'll fix it. Give me 1 hour. I'll personally make sure your order is confirmed. Belinsky narrowed his eyes. You? Who are you? Victor smiled. She's the new manager. Belinsky looked surprised but didn't argue. Fine, you have 1 hour. As he stormed out, Victor patted Marina's shoulder. Now that's the confidence of a leader. Marina exhaled. She had her work cut out for her, but she wasn't going to fail. Marina wasted no time. She rushed to the office, flipping through the restaurant's supply records. If Artyom had failed to confirm the order, she needed to fix it, fast. Victor followed her inside, watching as she worked. "You're handling this well," he remarked. Marina barely looked up. "There's no other choice. If we don't get Mr. Belinsky's order in time, it could damage the restaurant's reputation." She found the supplier's contact information and quickly dialed. The phone rang twice before a gruff voice answered. "This is Pavel's Catering." "Hello, this is Marina from Ananov's restaurant. I believe we had an order placed for tomorrow's event under Mr. Belinsky's name, but it seems it wasn't confirmed." The man on the other end sighed. "Yeah, we had it listed as pending. Since no one confirmed it, we assumed it was canceled." Marina's grip tightened on the phone. Artyom's negligence had almost cost them a major client. She took a deep breath. "Can we still get it delivered in time?" There was a pause. "It'll be tough, but if you can send confirmation right now and arrange an express fee, we can make it happen." Marina didn't hesitate. "Consider it done." She quickly drafted an official confirmation and sent it over. Within minutes, the supplier confirmed that the order would be fulfilled. Victor smiled as she put the phone down. Crisis averted. Marina let out a sigh of relief. That was close. Just then, the restaurant doors swung open again, and Mr. Belinsky strode in, looking impatient. "Well, what's the status?" Marina stood tall. "Your order is confirmed. Everything will be delivered as planned." Belinsky raised an eyebrow. "You handled it that quickly?" Victor chuckled. "She's quite efficient." For the first time, Belinsky actually looked impressed. "Well, I'll be expecting perfection tomorrow." Marina nodded confidently. "You'll get nothing less." As he left, Victor turned to Marina with a knowing smile. "You just saved the restaurant's reputation on your first night as manager." "How does it feel?" Marina exhaled. "Like I belong here." She had just faced her first major challenge and won. The next morning, Marina arrived at the restaurant early, feeling a mixture of excitement and pressure. She wasn't just a waitress anymore, she was in charge. The kitchen was already bustling with activity as the chefs prepared for the busy day ahead. Waiters and hostesses were setting up the dining area. Marina took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Good morning, everyone," she said. The staff turned to look at her. Some smiled, but others seemed skeptical. She could sense it. They weren't sure if she was ready to lead. Sophia, the waitress who had supported her last night, grinned. "First day as manager. How does it feel?" Marina chuckled. "Terrifying, but I'm ready." The head chef, Leon, crossed his arms. "Look, Marina, we all like you, but managing a restaurant isn't just about being nice to customers. Artyom may have been strict, but at least he kept things running." Marina met his gaze. "And how often did his mistakes cause problems?" Leon hesitated. "More than a few times," he admitted. "Exactly. I may not have experience as a manager, but I know this restaurant better than anyone. I know our customers, I know the staff, and I know what makes this place special. I don't plan to run it the way Artyom did. I plan to make it better." The team exchanged glances. They weren't fully convinced yet, but they were listening. Marina continued, "I also know that respect goes both ways. I won't yell or intimidate like Artyom did, but I will expect the best from all of us. If we work together, we can make this restaurant even greater." Sophia clapped. "I'm with you." A few others nodded in agreement. Even Leon smirked. "All right, boss, let's see what you've got." Marina smiled. Step one of earning the team's trust was complete, but she knew she had to prove herself in action, and her first real test was just around the corner. Just as Marina started settling into her new role, Sophia rushed over, looking flustered. "Marina, we have a problem." Marina straightened. "What is it?" Sophia handed her a reservation list. "A last-minute booking just came in for tonight. A VIP guest, someone important." Marina glanced at the name and immediately felt a jolt of pressure. Sergei Volkov. He was a well-known businessman, a major investor in high-end restaurants across the city. His reviews could make or break a restaurant's reputation. Victor walked in just as Marina was processing the news. "I heard about Volkov's reservation," he said. "He's not an easy guest to please." Marina exhaled. "Great. No pressure, right?" Victor chuckled. "You'll do fine. Just make sure everything is flawless." Marina wasted no time. She called a quick meeting with the staff. "Tonight, we have a VIP guest, Sergei Volkov. His standards are extremely high, and we need to be at our absolute best." Leon, the head chef, raised an eyebrow. Volkov, he's infamous for sending dishes back. Then we make sure there's nothing to send back, Marina said firmly. Every detail must be perfect. Service, food, atmosphere. We can't afford mistakes. The team nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. As the evening approached, Marina double-checked everything. The lighting was adjusted to create a warm ambiance. The best cutlery and glassware were set. The chef prepared a special tasting menu tailored to Volkov's known preferences. Finally, at 8 p.m., Sergei Volkov walked through the doors. He was tall, imposing, with sharp eyes that immediately scanned the restaurant. Marina straightened her posture and approached him with confidence. "Good evening, Mr. Volkov. Welcome to Antonov's. We have prepared something special for you tonight." Volkov gave a small, unreadable smile. "Let's see if you can impress me." The test had begun. Sergei Volkov was escorted to the best table in the restaurant, a private spot near the grand window overlooking the city. He sat down, adjusting his expensive cufflinks, and picked up the menu with a critical eye. Marina had done her research. Volkov was known for his love of precision and quality. He didn't just expect great food, he expected a flawless experience. She approached with a confident smile. "Mr. Volkov, we've prepared a special tasting menu tailored to your preferences. Would you like me to walk you through it?" Volkov raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Go ahead." Marina described each dish carefully, focusing on flavor profiles, ingredient sourcing, and how each course complemented the next. She could tell Volkov was listening closely, analyzing every detail. "Interesting," he finally said. "Let's see if the execution matches the description." The first course arrived, a delicate seafood appetizer, plated beautifully. Volkov took a bite. The entire restaurant seemed to hold its breath as he chewed, his expression unreadable. After a few seconds, he gave a small nod. "Not bad." Marina knew that was high praise coming from him. The courses continued, each one meticulously prepared by Leon and his team. Marina kept a watchful eye, making sure the service was seamless. She noticed the tiniest details, when Volkov's water needed refilling, when he paused between bites, how he reacted to each dish. By the time dessert arrived, a rich, perfectly balanced chocolate soufflé, Volkov leaned back in his chair, thoughtful. He took a slow sip of wine before speaking. "This is one of the finest meals I've had in a long time," he admitted. A wave of relief washed over Marina, but she remained composed. "I'm glad you enjoyed it." Volkov studied her for a moment. "I can tell you care about this place. That's rare in this industry." He placed his napkin on the table and stood up. "I'll be writing a review about tonight. Let's hope it's a good one." As he walked out, Victor approached Marina with a grin. "That went better than expected." Marina let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "We'll see what he writes." The next day, the entire city would be talking about Volkov's review, and Marina's leadership would be put to the ultimate test. The next morning, Marina arrived at the restaurant earlier than usual. A nervous energy filled the air. Everyone was waiting for Sergei Volkov's review. His opinion carried weight in the city's fine dining industry. A single bad review could send reservations plummeting. Sophia was the first to check her phone. Her eyes widened. "It's out." Everyone gathered around as she read aloud. "Antonov's is a restaurant I have visited many times, but last night was different. From the moment I walked in, there was something new, something refreshing. The service was impeccable, the food masterfully crafted, and the atmosphere welcoming. But what stood out the most was the new leadership. Under Marina's guidance, this place has transformed. She brings a rare mix of passion and precision that is hard to find in the industry. Antonov's is no longer just a good restaurant, it is now one of the best, 5 stars. The room erupted in cheers. Leon, the head chef, smirked. "Not bad, boss." Marina exhaled, finally allowing herself to smile. They had done it. Just then, the restaurant's phone started ringing non-stop. Reservation requests flooded in. The restaurant's social media pages were buzzing with people eager to visit the place Volkov had praised. Victor patted Marina's shoulder. "You just put Antonov's on the map in a whole new way." But before Marina could fully process what was happening, the doors swung open. Standing there was the restaurant's true owner, the elderly man she had helped on her last night as a waitress. He smiled warmly. "Marina, we need to talk about the future of this place." Marina's heart pounded. Something even bigger was about to happen. Marina stared in shock as the elderly man, Mr. Antonov, the true owner of the restaurant, walked toward her. She had no idea he had been following her progress all along. "Let's talk in my office," he said with a warm smile. Inside, Mr. Antonov gestured for her to sit. "I've been watching closely since the night you were fired. You handled yourself with dignity, and now you've proven something even greater. You have the vision and leadership to take this restaurant to new heights." Marina felt her pulse quicken. "I only did what I thought was right." "That's exactly why I want you to do more," he replied. "This restaurant needs someone like you, someone who cares about more than just numbers, someone who understands the heart of hospitality." Marina listened intently as he continued. "I'm getting older, and I need to start thinking about the future of Antonov's. After Volkov's review, we're about to experience growth like never before. I need a partner to help lead this place forward, and I want that partner to be you." Her breath caught. "You mean?" "I want to make you co-owner," he said, smiling. "You've earned it." Tears welled in Marina's eyes. Just days ago, she had been a waitress struggling to keep a job. Now, she was being offered a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. "But why me?" she whispered. Mr. Antonov chuckled. "Because you remind me of myself when I was young. Passionate, determined, and willing to fight for what's right." Marina took a deep breath and nodded. "I'd be honored." As they shook hands, Marina knew her life had changed forever. She had started as a waitress, but now she was stepping into a future she never could have imagined. And as she walked back into the bustling restaurant, she smiled. This was just the beginning. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring content. What would you have done in Marina's place? Let us know in the comments. Stay tuned for more incredible stories that prove kindness, hard work, and integrity always pay off. See you in the next one.